Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Ask Weldon Show, episode 169. You guys, we're almost there to 170. Tomorrow, join me tomorrow for show episode 170. It'll be on twitch.tv/mindgamesweldon at 7:30 p.m. LA time, but that's only because of daylight savings time. I think we're back to 6:30 p.m. When Finland actually shifts, which should be in 2 weeks. We will see. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work out, but we'll find out. I'll just show up and stream, and then I'll ask, what time is it? And people in LA will tell me. Anyway, today on the show, we have some great questions. A two-parter coming in from Max, and this is about balancing between reviewing pro games, reviewing own games, and playing. So what is the correct balance for climbing and for scaling the ladder and for learning if you want to do those kinds of things? And then about finding a game to review. We have another question coming in from Love, a really fantastic one about social support. And then finally, we get to learn about how ASMR, and binaural beats and isochronic tones might or might not help with climbing the ladder. All right, let's jump into the show, guys. First question I'm going to play. As always, I'm playing these from Anchor. Anchor.fm/Weldon Green is where you go if you want to submit a question for the show. You can go there. You get the app on your phone. You call in the question. It's a podcasting app. You call in the question, but it's like more interactive than a podcasting app. Like, you can send me snaps, like audio snaps, and I can reply to them and type and listen or whatever, and then I can play them on the show, or I can incorporate them into my show. Like, it's a really good audio app, and you can listen. You can find all sorts of really cool shows on there. But anyway, my show is obviously the best. Please come check it out. So yeah, pop onto Anchor. Go to anchor.fm/Weldon Green. In the app, you can just search Weldon Green, I think, and find it. Follow me, and then click call in. Voila. Lift the phone to your ear and just talk. Yes, it detects when it's lifted to your head. You do not actually need to hold the record button. Okay, the first question. Let me pull up Anchor and play it. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys.
Hey Weldon, it's Max, aka TSM Wavelink, and today I had two questions. The first one being, how much of a balance should there be when it comes to reviewing pro games, reviewing your own games, and then playing the game itself? Like, how many hours should be dedicated to each? And for my next question, it was...
All right. Max, I'm going to separate yours into two questions because it's easier for me to answer one question at a time. So the first part of this question was, what is the balance between reviewing pro games, own games, and playing? All right, so as always, and you probably know I'm going to say this, it depends. This is if you're playing all your own games and you're still improving at a pretty standard rate, you should not necessarily be reviewing your games or reviewing your pro games. Like, if you're just beasting it out and you're grinding only your games and you just keep going up and up and up and you keep improving and improving and improving, I see no reason to take away time that you could be grinding and improving at the game mechanically when you're actually, it seems like, studying and learning and pulling things out of the game, okay? So monitor that. Once you plateau, once you stop just autodidactic, automatically climbing, once your brain is not able to see mistakes and pull them out of the game for you and then fix them, just like in flow state, then you need to start working on your systems of learning, okay? So at that point, you should start having a model and a mirror. You start with the mirror, okay? You start with your own game. You just review your game for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes afterwards on fast forward. You review like the key biggest mistakes you think that you had. You see if you start climbing again, if you start noticing mistakes, if you start able to fix them. If that's not the case, you got to review more of your game. Okay, so you actually look longer. You play it, maybe you review for 20 minutes on fast forward, and you watch the whole game on fast forward from start to finish with your eyes glued on your character. And you actually, it's not like you finish the game, put the replay on fast forward, Marge, and you go and you get a bowl of cereal and you're just sitting there and you're just like, you know, your Twitter's open and you're flipping back and forth with the game. No, I mean actually sitting there with your brain engaged, with a notepad ready, you know, like, and you're watching the game. You obviously don't need to have a notepad ready and writing things down. Although that would help, you know, because you don't want to be tabbing out of the game. So why not get a notepad and a pencil or a pen Yes, that's fine. And then sit there and actually watch your champion. Actually watch other players at the game and write little things down that you want to fix. You don't necessarily need to do them. Like, it's not that you need to write them down and then, have that turn into that to-do list. Like, just writing them down will be enough for your brain. And then reviewing the list before you go into a game is fine. It doesn't need to be like a measured task list or anything like that. Okay. And then finally, if we're talking about pro games, this is when you need a model. So then you want to essentially say, like, okay, well, I'm not improving fast enough for my own satisfaction, and so I want to know, what can I do better? And that's when you start reviewing pro games, and you essentially say, or like really high ranked players, doesn't have to be pro. Anybody better than you actually is fine, except that the higher rank they are, the more that you can skip intermediate skills. So the person who's right above you might be doing a lot of things wrong that the pro might not be, and so you can skip a lot of the mistakes that you might interpret as better but actually aren't. So you're watching the pro game and you're essentially trying to think, why did they do this? Why did they do this? Why did they do this for every single action they do, until you figure out fundamentals of their play that you can then incorporate in your own game. So think of it like a waterfall, right? You're improving. Okay, don't review. Okay, you plateau. Okay, review your games. Okay, you plateau or you can't climb, so review your games more in depth. Okay, you can't get anything out of that. Okay, add the model. Like, start watching pro games. Okay, you can't see anything there. You can't see anything in your own games, and you can't improve just by playing. Okay, get a coach. It's like a waterfall, a cascade. All right. Next part of the question. Let's listen.
How do I fix a problem where, like, when I try to find a game to review, whenever I lose a game, I often, like, just blame it on me playing bad rather than, like, me just being bad itself. So it's really hard for me to find a game to review or to really get a lot out of it. Thanks.
All right. Another, like, a good nuance to this question. Okay, so I want to find a game to review, but when I lose a game, the game is just, I just made some mistakes. But I already know what I did wrong, so there's nothing to learn from it. Yeah, so it's kind of, I think that you're misunderstanding why it is that you need to see the thing. It's not that you're going to all of a sudden notice something that you didn't do wrong before that you didn't know about, okay? When we finish a scrim with a pro team, every single person on the team could say exactly their mistakes during the game, probably down to the minute timer, and exactly what happened from them, okay? But we still go back and watch them because visualization is not the same as, or imagery is not the same as seeing the play and making a decision and reviewing it in your head consciously in order to force yourself to think about it, okay? So you still review games where you lose and you play bad versus being bad. You're not seeking and looking, if you already know where all the mistakes are, great. You're not looking for new mistakes. You go and you find the mistake and you watch yourself do it. It's like being a pig and you find a mud puddle and you just wallow around in it, enjoying the nastiness of the mud, cool on your features. You go and you just watch your mistake and you're like, oh, that was so bad, and you just soak in it and you be like, I never want to do that again. And you see it happening and you relive the thought process of why you did that mistake. And that helps you get back into that place when your fingers were controlling it. Because keep in mind, when you actually want to be doing this is right after the mistake. In the 15 seconds after the mistake, you want to pause the game, be like, okay, everybody, hang on. And you want to go and watch it again and be like, whoops. And then you want to practice it 3 or 4 times till you get it right. Then you want to unpause the game. Obviously, we can't do that, can we? So the best substitute is that you go after the game and you watch that part and you conceptualize it, you imagery it, you remember what it was like to be in that situation and to make that mistake, and then you replay it again in your head, but you did it correctly. But you do it correctly. You do the thing that you want to do instead. And you use imagery to do that. And you try to visualize or build the most accurate scene as you can in your head, in terms of like, first you start with the actual sense of sight, right? Then if you can, you layer on the sense of sound. You layer on the sense of like touch and space for your finger. We're talking about your fingers here. We're not talking about controlling the avatar and visualizing imagery in game. We're talking about doing imagery out of game. So you're imaging your body doing the actions, okay? And then I look like I'm doing like Xiao Yazan, whatever it is the Dragon Ball guy does when he teleports. Anyway, I just realized that. Goku, like instant. What is it called? Xiao Kai-Chen? I don't remember what the thing is when you instant teleport. And I can't ask Twitch chat because I'm on YouTube right now. But anyway, all right, so that's what you do. That's how you do imagery. You don't need to have a game full of things that you don't know about and learn from yourself. You just review your game, period. It's binary, Max. You don't need to find a good game to review. You finish your game, you go back through it, and you look at your mistakes. I don't care if you know what the mistakes are. You watch them, and you visualize yourself, you imagery yourself doing them better. Okay? Good. Let's go to the third question. Here's the instructions on screen on how to call in your question to Anchor. Please do so, because this show is powered and fueled off of your contributions.
How you doing today, Weldon?
Good, thanks, love.
Today I was wondering about interpersonal relationships and how they affect you when the people that you care about around you aren't necessarily supportive of the things that you want to do in life. Is there a way to fight that negative feeling that comes with that? How do you deal with it? Thanks, Weldon.
All right, so there's a couple nuances here. The first and most important thing is, of course, we know it's fine if our loved ones don't support what we want to do in life, but the question is, do they support you otherwise? It's like, my mother didn't necessarily support video games, right? But she supported the idea of me. And I could tell through her actions, they were all geared toward not satisfying her, but like wishing that I would do the thing that would satisfy me. And she, of course, had her own conception, her own visualization in her head of what she thought would be the best thing that I could do that would make me happy and that would make my family happy and that would make sure that I was secure and happy in the future, right? And she was always pushing and commenting and talking for those, like supporting those ideas. And so, no, the communication was not direct support. In fact, it was almost never support for what I was doing, but it came from pure love, right? It came from a source of like not understanding like my own vision for my own life, right? But trying to get me to do something that would be good for me from her vision, right? So if you have somebody who's in that mode, then it's just a rationalization, self-talk switch to feeling the support of love just in a different way. You know what I mean? You have to care deeply about what they intend and not care at all about what they say and about satisfying them. Like, you have to care deeply about satisfying them in the long run, your parents, right? Your loved ones. You have to care deeply about the fact that they care about you, and you have to care not even the slightest about their actual current intent. You have to roll it into, so you have to care and not care, right? You have to roll that into your plan for the long haul, right? Then you can start feeling that kind of like, oh, they're checking in on me, they care for me. And you start seeing all the actions. I want you to color all of their actions with a different crayon, if that makes sense. And that takes mental gymnastics. You need to self-talk and rationalize it every single time. It helps if you do it out loud with somebody that you love, who also knows them, who can help you through it. You need to do gratitude conditioning to make sure that you have the right mindset, that you're grateful about it. And that is that you say things basically that you're grateful for. Like, I am grateful that she cares enough to say something, or he cares enough to actually say something. These kinds of things, So you get it in there. It's not that you're normalizing yourself to abuse of people who are like telling you not to do what you're doing, but it's that you're allowing yourself to see the intent behind the communication, even if they cannot make it pure. Even if they themselves cannot make their intent pure, you refine it for them. You refine their intent for them. You do the work for them to make their intent pure towards your actions. Okay? Now, that's case one. Case two is actually people who you are attached to, meaning by blood, but who are not supportive of you as a person. Now, this is a little bit scarier and more heinous, right? Because you have to realize, first of all, most people are in category A that I talked about. Some people are in category B where they are like they're a little bit broken, they're a little bit bipolar, or they're a little bit too injured by the world to not be selfish. Okay? And by the way, I just picked, but it's not like there's some evil thing about being bipolar, right? I just picked that as an example. Like there could be a mental deficiency, like I don't mean mental either. I mean emotional deficiency, because most of them are emotional deficiencies. Could be mental deficiency, could be schizophrenia, right? Or they're too injured by the world, or they're just not mature enough or capable enough to actually be not selfish in their viewpoint towards you, and yet you are tied to them. Now, this is the kind of relationship where if you can, it's often better for your life to kind of like sever it. Temporarily, maybe give them time and space. If you are the kind of person where you want to make your mission, like helping them despite the fact that they are not healthy for you, then that is fine, okay? You should totally do that, but you have to start from the groundwork, from the fundamental thesis that you will not get back from them what you want and what you need and what you're putting in. You have to do it selflessly. So without expectation that they will eventually support you in your endeavors. If this is a mother, if this is a sister, if this is a father, if this is an older brother, if you want to help be a part of their journey toward being whole, you just give into the void. You take your extra emotional love and your sauce and whatever it is, and you give into the void, and you get back from them basically negative energy. That's a good way to put it. Even though you know what I mean. Like, this isn't goop. I'm not on the website where you like buy stones and you harmonize yourself to the frequencies. But what I'm saying is you're going to get back a lot of like negative motivation and negative self-talk and negative rationalizations, etc., that you have to deal with, and that's fine if you want to make that your thing. But go into it without expectation of deliverance. And then, otherwise, if you're not down for that, or you can't be down for that because you don't have the emotional base to actually support them. Maybe you're not married. Maybe you don't have your own big support network. Maybe this person is supposed to be a support network and they're failing. Then it might be good to just like try to isolate your life from that person. Try to replace them with somebody who is going to give you what you need to succeed. And for that, you go hunting. It might be a month or a longer, year-long journey, but you have to decide now, okay, if I'm going to replace this person, I need to find myself somebody to fit in there, and you make that your quest. Like, there's a reason that there's a strange kind of like negative connotation to the fact that that some women go hunting for husbands, right? That you go on a college campus and you're like, oh, he's man hunting, or he's looking for a guy or whatever, and they're kind of like, there's this meme about like like women being on the prowl or whatever, and they're looking for like husband material, right? I don't get why it's not the other way around too. I don't get why guys aren't looking for wife material. Like the person that you choose to spend your life with is the most important decision you will ever make in your entire life. And I say decision because you can't choose who your parents are. You're stuck with blood. But the person you're going to marry, you should be on a quest for that from like puberty, man. Like, this has the fundamental power to change your life forever. Everybody should be super serious about trying to find that person who's going to be a force for leveling them up in their life consistently for the next 100 years. Hopefully we live that long, right? For the next 100 years on a daily way, that they're bringing you to spiritual, philosophical, and emotional reckoning in a loving way that allows you to continually progress and to build a life together. Like, that should be the objective. So if you want to replace a family member with somebody who's going to support you, you got to be on the prowl. You got to be looking for those people. And then you have to, unfortunately, You have to invest and sacrifice in those relationships. They're not just going to happen, right? Generally speaking, you have to build them. It could be also, and I'm not saying this in an accusatory way, but it could be that maybe you are not actually investing enough in the relationships that you do have so that they're in a place where they're supporting you. Like it could be you just want to take, and not realize that you got to give some in order to build that relationship so you can get support back, right? So it could be there's an imbalance in the relationships you do have and that they will work if you spend a bit more time on them. And this I said without any knowledge of your circumstance, so you got to take it for what it is. Like I'm not trying to diagnose or critique, but that could be the case, right? So reflect on it. And if that's painful realization that you come through that reflection, then I do apologize. All right, guys, let's jump into the last question. Before we jump into the last question, I want to thank Love again for that deep, dark place that we just went with everybody here. And I wanted to also, on a side note, recommend my Mac program. You should check it out. Use the code AskWeldon to get your $5 discount. I'll put that out at the beginning so that you guys who have already left this video to run over to this URL, mindgames.gg/MAC, mindgames.gg/MAC. You run over there to check it out, and you're like, yes, this is the thing I've been waiting for my entire life. Put in the code AskWeldon at checkout. Knocks you down from 30 to 25. Okay, the Mac program is my training program. It's an online video course, 50 videos, well, 49, and actually 47, I think. But anyway, 7 modules, 7 weeks. Supposed to finish it over about a month and a half, right? And it is the steps to mental resilience. It is the combination of insights that I bring pro teams through. It is the kind of like progression of awareness of what emotions are driving you, acceptance of emotional states that you get triggered by, and the commitment to behaviors despite getting triggered. So it's basically the steps to mental resilience. And this is for higher performance, for the sake of higher performance. And so the skills that we learn in terms of focus are also meant to be choreographed around learning and specifically around sport learning. So this program is geared essentially towards sport performance, but because it's a training for the mind, it applies to every area of human performance, not just sport performance, right? So I have gotten comments from people who've used this for management, for studies, for dance, for what are the other categories? For swimming, for coaching, for many different areas where they are trying to excel. And it turns out what you want to all in on will be amplified by this program, because it is training for you to be able to focus more, to learn more, to control your emotions more, and to be more disciplined toward everything in life through the thing that you're focusing. So people have asked me, like, how do I get more motivated to do my homework while playing video games? And I say through video games. By doing more in video games, by being more serious about video games, you can discipline yourself to do your homework. You have to use that fuel and transfer it over. And I explain exactly what I mean and how to do that in the Mac program. And also, of course, on my live stream. You can check it out at twitch.tv/mindgamesweldon. Right after this last question, I'm going to hop over there and we're going to have all sorts of insane conversations about how this is applied in everyday life. All right, into the last question.
Hey Weldon, I was wondering what you thought about using binaural beats or isochronic tones to help with training and esport.
All right. I heard this question and I was like, what's that? And so I thought, you guys, let's do some. And then I looked it up and I was like, okay. So apparently binaural beats are like they put one frequency in one headphone and one frequency in another headphone, and then it causes a frequency in your brain or something. I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't checked out the research yet. But I started listening to them and I was like, cool. I don't know the answer to this question, so I'll just expose you guys to this and see what you think. So we're going to listen to some binaural beats. They're not going to work for you because they have to come through, it's mono. They have to come through like one different tone in the left and one in the right. So I think you actually have to download them to your computer, or you have to listen to a YouTube video that's not mono. But anyway, you're going to be listening to this through my desktop audio, so it's not going to work, but at least you will get exposed to what it could be. And then you can check it out on your own. Okay, so I listened to that. I was like, 3 hours of that. All right, let me see if I can find a different one. So then I found this one that was like 8 hours, and it's like lucid dreaming. Well, I know a little bit about lucid dreaming because I had a friend who was training it and was able to do it and then train mixed martial arts while he was dreaming. So lucid dreaming, apparently you can also use binaural beats and isochronic tones to help with lucid dreaming. Of course, usually you have to take some sort of chemical or drug, but you can also train yourself to do lucid dreaming through journaling, extensive journaling. So, but I guess these help. So let's go ahead and listen. So that one is called Lucid Dreaming Sleep Track with Binaural Beats and Isochronic Tones by Brainwave Power Music. Both of these have millions of views. All right, so that is what they are, you guys. And I can give you my own little Binaural Beats, Isochronic Tones ASMR here. Climb the ladder, rank up, achieve victory. Okay, anyway. Welcome to the ASMR section of my YouTube channel. This is like the deepest, darkest corner that you will ever fall into with me, probably, when I'm like scraping through the dredges of YouTube for hilarious, terrifying, lucid dreaming sleep tracks, and being like, should I play this on my show or not? But anyway, thanks for the question, Ryan, and I will look into this more and more in the future and maybe look up some research on it and find out what there is to know about it, so that I am informed for possible questions about this in the future, so that I have an opinion on it. Right now, I do not. And so that's that. Thanks for the show, guys. See you tomorrow.